pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Number 2, we'll call the December 16th, 2021 Village Board meeting to order. 3, roll call shows everyone is in attendance except for Shauna, Julie, and Allie, and they have been excused. Correct? Is that all we're missing? Okay. Then 4, agenda changes. And there are none. 5, consent agenda. A, December 2nd, 2021 regular board meeting minutes. B, presentation of accounts and other claims against the village. Are there any questions? Otherwise, I would need a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Roll call, Peter?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. 6, pre-registered citizens to be heard. And there are none. 7, committee reports. There are none. 8, unfinished business from previous meetings. There's none. 9, new business. A, resolution R-30-21, adopting 2022 water and sewer utility budgets. Did everyone have a chance to go through the budget? Are there any questions on it?
Is it R-30 or 31?
30.
31 is on the resolution.
I think it is 30.
It says 30 at the top, or 31, you're right. It should be 31.
It should be 31.
Yes.
Yes, 31.
Okay. R-31-21.
Is there anything you wanted to call our attention to, Cray or Nathan?
I guess this was done prior to our last public works director leaving,
Oh,
so
okay.
a lot of it was done by him.
Okay.
The only thing we kind of tweaked was the payroll portions that kind of changed. You know, there are some places where, you know, you look at the interest on investments, which is always kind of a guess, but I think it's a little high. But then we're gonna have a little more on the multifamily residential sales if you're looking at the water utility. So,
The whole thing. Water and sewer.
yeah, so there's a few things that I would have probably tweaked, but you're still guessing, I mean, in the way that it operates.
Stayed on the conservative side here a little bit.
Right.
For the most part, you're comfortable with the numbers?
Yeah.
You don't think you'll run into any troubles? Hopefully.
Can't guarantee that, but
No.
I guess the only thing, what I've seen here in the past couple months here, when you look at the capital expenses, things are obviously skyrocketing and what have you. But on the last page, page 11, one of the things here in the last week and a half or so, we looked at pump number 3 on the wastewater end of it. Looking at doing that in 2023, we're seeing a significant drop in the efficiency of that pump. We may have to expedite that before it fails. We were without pump number 2 for 6 months, and it really showed that pump on the efficiency of the plant, and so there was some issues. SCADA system, obviously working with that, we're looking at security. That may be expedited here this year. And then, excuse me, the only other thing is the last one there, the $40,000, right now, that may have to increase. So just preliminary, seeing what the numbers are coming in on the truck, things have skyrocketed, so, just FYI on that. So them numbers may change a little bit. On the SCADA system, I think we're pretty close, but, otherwise, really nothing out of the ordinary besides them 3 items that I foresee on the wastewater side. Water side, I think we're doing well.
So what structure improvements for 19,000 are you looking at? Is that it?
What's
Is that-
that?
Structure
Yeah.
improvements?
So the 19,000 Craig was asking,
Yeah.
is that the pump 2 and 3 and then the headworks?
Yeah,
HVAC?
correct.
That's
those two
all
combined?
added
Okay.
together? Okay.
Yeah, that's what that would be.
Thanks for,
One, obviously, looking at the numbers here and that, trying to decipher, and it's kind of different when you look at this budget versus usually what we see on the general side of things. It is potential that may request our auditors to help us out and to figure out some of these numbers and make it a little bit more efficient when you look at the budget. When you look at, for instance, I don't know, it makes sense to a point, but some of this stuff really doesn't. When we look at the 600, on the revenue side of things, more so on the expenditure side of things, on the sewer side, page 8. There's a lot of things that are in there that are maybe not in the right spot, realistically. It's kind of thrown in there.
Accounts which are the
Accounts.
same numbers, so.
Yeah, absolutely. We have certain accounts that look like revenue accounts, but actually they're expenditure accounts.
So the depreciation number is the number you get from the auditors?
Depreciation expense,
Yeah.
that is something,
Duff and Phelps.
it's a Duff and Phelps, correct?
Phillips,
Or, yeah, Phillips. That's information that is kind of ongoing. We also put information into the system ourselves, such as, the depreciation expenses, let's say, a street that we just did, Oak. Okay, that will get put into there. Or if we purchase a vehicle, or trade in a vehicle, or equipment, or whatever, that also goes into this system. So that's where that number derives from. So it's kind of an ongoing number. So next year it may be higher or it may be lower, depending on what's going on.
what's the balance in the utilities operating supplies on, like, page 8? So, back in 2020, we had 22,000, then we go down to 16,000, and now we're back up to 25,000. What is the,
I mean, this year we're at 26.
this year we're at 26?
For current, I mean, I think the estimated year end was off.
Well,
And same
you
with the
get
actual-
estimated year end at 16,000, and we're currently at
Right.
26, so.
Right, we'd have to look at the
Yeah.
number here. I mean, I can pull it up, but, I couldn't tell you what he did that
You have
last
to-
year.
Yeah, I don't know specifically what.
There's an error there somewhere. I mean, if we spent 26,000 already, and we're expecting by the end of this year to only spend 16,000, we've already spent 26.
Yeah, and utilities are usually, I think it might have, I don't know why they would have dropped it, because the utilities are usually pretty,
Yeah, so last year we
flat or
estimated,
up. They usually don't go down like
yeah,
that.
last year we estimated 17, and we used 22 the year before.
Right.
Now we're at 26.
Right, so I don't know why that was in there like that.
What fits into that category?
typically gas, We Energies, phone lines.
Utility operating expenses, for utilities.
I can pull up a listing.
Okay.
Especially on the sewer side. When I talked about a pump being down, you have two other pumps that are going. Obviously, they're gonna work harder because that third pump isn't in, so. On the Duff and Phelps, for auditing purposes, we have to put information into a spreadsheet that shows what the utilities are. So what the electric is, for each, like, well number 1, well number 2, sewer plant, water tower, things like that. So there's a separate spreadsheet that goes to our auditors for this, and it shows how many kilowatt per hours we're using, or how many therms we're using on the gas side of things. So I do have that spreadsheet, and that's where, wastewater side, that's where that goes into. So I'd have to look at that again and see what the anomaly was. Heavy rains, obviously, that does play a part into it. You're using more electricity to deal with that issue, especially in a storm situation, that I know. So there was a spike, July, was it? August, when we had the heavy rains.
Looks like the largest expenses are water.
Yeah.
The water and sewer that the plant goes through to maintain the water and sewer plant.
The cost for the water,
Water and
For
sewer
the water.
utility, $6,215 operating expenses. This happens 3 or 4 times a year. It's like 1, 2,
Should I have the third line in there?
yeah. So,
Because we pay that on the sewer side, we pay that accordingly also. And that's been about average, anywhere upper 5s to lower 6,000.
so I couldn't tell you why they budgeted 17 last year, because it's something that, like I said, isn't gonna change. Other than go up, because you got We Energies gas, so. And then of course, water and sewer use fluctuates, but
I'm sure there's some accounting reason for that. It seems circular. That
Right.
the water treatment plant would pay the water treatment plant for their own water.
right.
Uh,
I don't know the nitty-gritty of that.
There's some
And
things
it's something I
that,
can ask our auditor.
yeah, that's something we're gonna be.
if you wouldn't mind,
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
seems like that's there's
I
a
know,
potential problem there. I don't mean actually
Because
be a problem, but
I think the
it
reason
could
they do it is
easily-
they track the gallons, and then they make sure that the amount that was brought in was all the money and the water that was used is accounted for. You know what I mean? Because
No,
basically, we track the amount of gallons that are used, so when the auditors come in, I'm sure they probably look at that and compare it to the income that we have generated.
In case we every year lose water.
Right.
From
Correct.
leaks and, pipes breaking and different things like that. So
okay.
that's why we have to track the usage.
correct.
But, I mean, it's something I can
Versus-
still ask the
Oh,
auditors.
so we don't actually use
We don't
like
use,
cleaned water in the process of making clean water?
no.
No,
Okay,
No, it's
that
for-
was
it's
the
for
con-
other
that was the part I was
operators.
getting confused
Sorry.
about. I'm like,
It's like cleaning tanks and stuff like that.
cleaning tanks, yeah, other operational
okay,
stuff
all right.
that we may
I
have
got
to,
Yeah.
wash or whatever, correct.
okay,
No, we don't add water to the wastewater to make it work,
yeah.
turn it
You
into
have to
clean
excuse
water.
my ignorance.
No,
No,
It just seems like it's just ripe to have a major mistake somewhere.
and it makes sense.
And it would be, if you did, that would be a, oh, we don't have enough money here, let's just say we use more water, and that's just a bad,
Right. Oh, right.
that's a bad type of an
Yeah.
accounting if it was.
Yeah.
Okay. The leaks and cleaning, yeah, I got it. It must be a lot of leaks.
we do a report, anything that's unmetered, we do a report, every quarter, every month. Fire department potentially, if they're running off a hydrant, we don't know how much they're pumping out, so, you know, a lot of that stuff, we do try to figure out, hey, how many gallons are actually unmetered, and we have to report that. That is something we have to report.
Yeah.
So let's say, one particular month, you're looking at 10,000 gallons that was used on something or whatever. We have to report that loss, because it's unmetered.
Like the water, the flooded basements and stuff, is that where that ends up?
Yes.
Where we can't collect the funds, like when, where we have to write that off, because you have to pay for it, right? And then
Yes.
we have to find a way to write it off somewhere else, but you have to pay for that,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
Yeah. I
Okay.
don't know, in that case, I'm not sure, but yeah.
Okay, I'm good.
Is that part of an accounting process mandated by the DNR, do you think, to track the water usage?
Or is it-
Because
Yes.
if you didn't,
Right.
it would have a negative effect on the water.
Oh,
of it.
absolutely, absolutely,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah, Lisa has always had to keep track of that.
Yep.
Are there any other questions? Otherwise, we would need a motion to accept the resolution.
I'll make a motion to accept resolution R-30-21, adopting 2022 water and sewer utilities budgets.
I just wanted a quick point of order, it's the 31. not
Oh, sorry,
the-
R-31
it's a- Yeah, it's
Did you
just
say-
switching
Sorry.
the agenda,
I'll second
just so we make sure.
Roll call, Peter?
Aye.
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 Motion carried. B, resolution R-29-21, write off outstanding checks.
The list was in there of the checks that are outstanding. There was, what, 5 of them, 4 of them?
Can you just explain the process that you go through before it ends up here, Jane?
We send them, I believe, 2 letters. And if we don't hear anything, we write them off.
Okay.
We make
Because
contact.
the one was a pretty significant amount of
It
money.
was, that was a different situation. I don't know if we want to touch
Okay.
on that a
I-
little.
That's okay.
Okay.
I was just surprised
Yeah.
at the amount.
I know one of the people on here has passed away, so that could be why
That could be
also.
why.
Okay.
So,
I'll make a motion to approve R-29-21.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. C, consideration and possible action on purchase of pressure washer.
Okay, since the last time I got approached you on this, I've got 2 proposals that I had received. The first one was from Beaver of Wisconsin, Clover, Wisconsin, and then the other one is from Green Bay Pressure Systems. Green Bay Pressure Systems. So the issue is with them here, I made note of this, that is for the unit only. So the Beaver system was pretty much a complete unit at the 11,817. That's mounting, venting, electrical, the whole gamut of stuff. Green Bay Pressure Systems does not do any of that. We looked at what then it would cost to build the cart, electrical, and that onto theirs, looking at similarly what Beaver would do. We are looking at about the same price. So my recommendation is to go with Beaver, the B4 3000 for 11,817. And then we really don't have to do anything. And there is a warranty on this then too. Nathan's got a picture up on the board here of what it would look like. This is an industrial sprayer versus, one that we would just put in our garages.
And this is replacing another industrial
No,
unit?
No.
No?
our other one, it was a, I would say a backyard one. I wouldn't say that so much. It was more than what you and I would have in our garage. But it's lasted about 8 years, I believe, is when that one was purchased.
Okay.
So that type of sprayer, the longevity is short with them, especially if you're using it on a daily basis. So your industrial ones here will last 15 versus 8 or 7 under the same circumstances. And with this unit, currently we have burner. It leaks, unfortunately, diesel fuel out of some of the out of the tank and also the lines. The pump is straight up plastic,
And the one that you have right now?
and the one we have right now, correct?
Okay.
So she's about ready to blow over.
I mean, is the one that you have, when it's working, is that adequate to do what you needed it to do?
No,
No?
not anymore.
No?
Before, no. And the reason why I say that is that machine, that was 2,000 PSI, 2 gallons a minute is
Okay.
what it is. So when you look at degreasing, when you look at actually washing a vehicle off, this one here doesn't. You know, you have to keep washing. You know, time spent doing it more and more and more. You have to scrub it and things like that. This one here, adding then soap to it, we should be able to just wash it off and be done. The PSI on this one here is a little bit more, so when you look at doing your degreasing, if we look at the sewer plant especially, and cleaning the floors and that, it's gonna get that grime and everything off the floor too. Our current one, it doesn't. And especially now since it's starting to fail, it's a HOTC. It's a HOTC unit. They're running about 5,600 right now is what they're running. So they just aren't industrial enough, I guess you would say, to do what we need to do in cleaning. And it is the cheapest maintenance to preserve your equipment, is to wash, clean.
I'm assuming you'd be using less water then also.
Yes.
Bring that pool
Yes,
out.
instead of spending 2 hours on something, you might spend 1.
Right.
So, correct.
What's the total on the Beaver system?
The Beaver would be 11,817. And we're estimating with the Green Bay pressure systems, we're looking at an additional
Well, I see they don't do venting, so.
no, they don't do venting, they don't do electrical.
Yeah, but, will Beaver do the electrical?
Yes,
Oh, they will, okay.
yeah, we have it pretty much there already, it's just a matter of,
So under the Beaver quote, it says additional components, Maxitrol if required. So that's not part of the 11.8? The power venting, that 1,400, is that part of the 11.8?
the power venting, yes, that is.
So the 11.8 is inclusive of a complete install?
Correct. That would be
The
your
electrical, the
additional,
venting and everything else?
yeah, that's your additional components underneath it, yes.
Okay,
Yep, because your base is 8,995.
got it.
Sounds like we have 3 almost identical quotes. Even if you went with a non-commercial grade, you're almost at the same price, because if you figure it only lasts half as long, you're at $12,000 for something, so you're gonna pay that, you're gonna pay about the same cost, but get a better outcome. So you can eliminate that, I think, and then,
Warranty, service, I think that's big. There's a lot of, our commercial places here in town that utilize the same company, so it's a plus. If they're in town, you know, we need something or whatever, they can just swing by. So we wouldn't have a service charge either.
Providing it happens at the same time.
I would hope not, it wouldn't, I would hope that it wouldn't happen at all, but yes, if it would happen at the same time, that would be nice. It is a
Any other
piece of equipment.
questions?
No, where's the,
It's on
I can-
phrase.
what do you need, just a head nod or approval?
No.
it's already written out here.
Oh, it is, I don't.
Yeah, I wrote it out for you.
Yeah.
I don't,
Yeah,
I don't
it's
see
on
it.
All right,
phrase.
I'll make a
On my,
motion, I'll do
report.
it, it's already here. I'll make a motion to approve the purchase of a B400/3000 pressure washer from Beaver, Wisconsin in the amount of $11,817.
I see it and I approve. Second.
Roll call, Peter?
Aye.
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 Motion carried. D, consideration and possible action on purchase of police drone.
I'll take that one. We are looking at, purchasing a drone for the police department. The drone can be used for assessment, for storm damage, search and rescue, for emergency personnel locating them. They can also be used for traffic collision reconstruction. You can use them for investigating active shooter incidents and crime analysis, surveillance. Some agencies use them for like crowd monitoring and things like that. We received, the total cost for the drone, we received two quotes, one for $7,149 through Titletown. We received another quote from a different company called Law Enforcement Drones for $6,969. However, the Titletown quote for $7,149 includes things that the law enforcement one won't cover. For example, if we have some type of damage to it, that's a user pilot error, signal interference, collision, water damage, or dropping and damaging the drone, they'll replace it. The money, with the $7,149, we have $5,102.15 that's put into an account that we receive donations from. Specifically, a citizen gave us $4,500 for the purchase of a drone. It was either the beginning of this year or the end of last year. And then we received $200 from Country Financial, an insurance company, to purchase a piece of equipment. So with that being said, we waited till the end of the year to kind of look at doing this. The remaining $2,046.85 would come from my actual operating budget. If you guys are okay with me purchasing that.
Have you looked into what other communities use, or?
What they use the same type of drone.
Same kind.
Yep, Outagamie County's got several of them. What's really nice with the Mavic Enterprise is that, say for instance, in 4 or 5 years, they upgrade the type of model. The batteries could continue to be used over and over in the same units. So, say for instance, if the fire department purchases one next year and the model kind of changes just a little bit, we can interchange batteries between theirs and ours. So that was the advantage of going with this brand. And that's why most agencies are going with this brand. They just make good law enforcement drones. So,
Who would operate this?
well, what would happen is Seth is the one that's leading up this program. Seth has made contact with a lieutenant from Grand Chute. Grand Chute would end up coming to our agency. I know that the fire department's looking at purchasing one, so they would train the law enforcement and the fire in operating the drone. So the more operators that you have, the better. What you get it's a license called a COA, it's an FFA COA, which is only permitted by government agencies or public safety people. So to operate
Why
these
would you
drones.
not go with the fire department to get probably even a better model, and you'd have more people that would be able to
This is
operate it?
yeah, this is one of the top. I know that the fire department, Lauren Steinacher was looking at purchasing. That drone alone, their cost was over $8,000.
So what happens when Seth isn't available?
Well, we would train the entire department.
So the entire department?
Right, so the drone would go into whatever vehicle is being driven, whatever vehicle is being operated. So during the day shift, that drone would go in that car. So for instance, we had a walkaway this week at one of the care facilities. Apparently he was gone since 1:30 in the morning, or 1:30 in the afternoon. They finally notified police at 3:30. I mean, if we had a drone in the car, that officer, Sweeney was working, he could have put it in the air right away and been able to locate. Thank God, a citizen that just all of a sudden found some strange person sitting on his front porch, but he was soaked from here because he was back by the creek behind the wastewater treatment. So, I mean, if that would have been today, he probably would have froze to death. But that's what the drones are so nice for, is you can get them right up. That's why you want to get as many people trained as possible. That's why, I mean, you'd want, with a volunteer fire department, to get as many of your guys trained.
Yeah, we'll probably have 20 guys.
Yeah,
Fire department.
and Grand Chute's willing to do it for free,
Oh,
the
wow.
training, yeah,
Oh, that's nice.
yeah.
So these officers or these users would be issued an F8 license,
COA.
yeah,
Mhm.
unique to them only as an operator.
Well, yeah, and it's unique to that municipality.
Okay.
You listed surveillance as one of the uses?
Well, and I think what they mean by that, that's what other agencies are using them for. However, I mean, it's up to a chief to say, this is, you're gonna use it for this. Outagamie County's not using it for that. They're using it for, basically, when they have an accident scene, they can put the drone up and they can see exactly things that, and it's cool, because I mean, you can see tracks on the road that are not visible to the eye. You know, you can see how far, which direction that they were coming. So that's the type of things that we're gonna use them for. Search and rescue. We had that gentleman, he reported that there was somebody that possibly fell through the ice last winter. I mean, that would have been a perfect opportunity to get a drone up in the air. Instead, we put the fire department out there and started looking for the individual. And ends up, there was nobody there, because these are heat-seeking too. So,
So what, I have concerns that we're, I mean, because we're duplicating. So in what instances are we gonna have a need for this where the fire department's not already gonna be involved? Or Outagamie County's not already going to be involved, that they would potentially already have the assets available? I understand there's a grant, but I'm trying to understand what our actual need is, and you know, there's whenever there's an investment, there's a $2,000 investment out of your budget, and then assuming that there is a continuing cost for these, you're replacing parts and continuing. I don't know if the training's always going to be free, but and so what instances are we going to use this where the fire department or the county's not already involved?
there's a lot of times, just because the county's not always available.
Mhm.
I mean, if you look at our call logs for the entire month, we're taking a lot of Outagamie County calls just because they're not available.
Okay.
So they have very, very limited drone operators. Each one of their cars don't have a drone. So they have specific people who are drone operators, and if there's nobody working, it's kind of like their dog. If their dog's not working, it's not available.
Well, no, I understand. I'm just trying to say, the examples you gave so far were like an accident, which I assume the fire department would be there. Somebody going through the ice, I assume the fire department would be there.
Right.
missing person, does the fire department show up right away? No?
Nope, we didn't
Okay,
dispatch
so-
them yesterday.
Okay, I mean, I was just looking for the cases where there is no overlap
Right.
and to justify an expenditure towards it.
Yep, and we kind of discussed that, so, we discussed, I know Nathan and I kind of discussed it a little bit, so if the police department gets a drone, the fire department, I mean, in more cases than any, the police department is gonna be at that call first, okay? So they can get that drone up in the air. But there's incidences where the fire department has a bigger jurisdiction where we're not responding, so then they can take their drone out to a fire scene in Hortonia. 2 drones might be needed at the same time, I don't know.
It would be hard to share.
Yeah, I think it would be very hard, because who's
Yeah.
gonna keep it in their vehicle? So when we had the walk away yesterday, somebody would have had to respond to the fire department if the drone's being kept at the fire department to go get it, and then come back all the way here to set it up, where if we had it in a squad car, we could just open up the case and put it in the air.
So
Fire
what-
department's got 6
Well-
guys 2 minutes away, really.
And
Every
yesterday
guy's
was,
across the
yesterday is a
road.
bad example. We had 50-mile-an-hour winds, nobody's flying a drone yesterday.
No, no.
I mean, not without losing it. It's gonna, I've been researching drones like
Right.
crazy, and you're not flying them in this wind.
No.
You can't, they're not heavy enough. I mean,
No,
they're
it's
grounding
not.
airplanes because of this, so that,
They'd have started
yesterday
on
was a bad example. What's that?
They'd have started on fly.
Yeah, so yesterday's a bad example, but the incident itself is not necessarily bad, but using yesterday as it was really bad.
Well, I'm just saying the incident happened,
Yeah.
so
So Chris, what do you need from us? Just a head nod to
Yes.
proceed?
that's what I'm looking for.
I would agree to proceed.
Pat, what's your thoughts?
I think it makes sense. You've got the donations that, and I remember you talking about that a while ago, that the donor wanted to go towards a drone, and she must have felt at that time that that was an important thing. So
You know, someday I may be a walk-off. I'm sure as heck would
I
have.
was thinking of you, Peter. And it could be that we could assist others too, you know.
Right.
So I would be,
Thank
I
you,
would
Pat.
agree.
My thoughts would be if there's a way to combine the efforts, I think it's,
A way to combine what?
between the fire department and police.
Boy, I don't see it. I really don't.
The sheriff's department has had incidents where they've had their person come with a drone, and the drone failed. For whatever reason, the batteries weren't charged or something, so they've had to call out another agency to get another drone.
You
So
know,
then there was
Jim,
a delayed response with that. So, I mean, the fire department having one would be our backup.
And
it
vice
could be a
versa.
situation too where they're out on the call and the fire department is on a different call in Hortonia, where, you know, both units would be used. Potential's there.
Yeah, we do live in Hortonville.
Jack,
And
what
we have
are your
3,000
thoughts?
people in
Yeah, it would be
mile,
nice if
in a
we
mile
could
and a half
do that, but I
square.
don't know how we can.
$14,000 worth of drones just seems
Would be
a little high for me.
Well,
Yeah, but that's their budget.
is yours gonna have thermal
No,
imaging in it?
theirs is 8
Is
and
what?
theirs
Are
is
you gonna
7.
have thermal
So
imaging
that's
in there?
$15,000
How
worth of
much
drones
is
for a mile and a half.
I think that was like 8 grand.
Yeah, I mean, $15,000 worth of drones for a mile and a half just seems excessive for me. I think the better solution would be to find a way for the two departments to work together, to invest, and then have a fund to be able to have some leftover funds to be able to pay for continuing maintenance and repairs and things like that, instead of burdening both budgets at the same time.
Well, ours is actually coming out of our softball
Yeah,
money that we raised.
Yeah.
And ours is mostly paid for by our
except for
donations.
2,000.
Except for 2,000.
Well, I've already given a head nod, so I asked her to proceed.
So you feel it's a good idea to split it?
Yeah, there's gonna be a time when we're gonna both be out.
Okay. Then I guess that's
I
the
wish we
only
could,
choice
I wish we
have.
could get one, but.
I would, if we, this applies for, because I'm on the fire board too. I think both departments need to come up with policies and procedures for drones before they start flying, anybody starts flying them.
Right.
Because there's a lot of room for getting into trouble with those.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, things that you're not supposed to be doing with them.
There's strict guidelines.
So Grand Shoot would be basically training people and letting you know what's
Are there,
can be done and what can't be done.
Right.
are there state guidelines or are those municipal?
I'm sure that
FFA.
Well, yeah, that says you can't go so high and,
Right.
yeah, but
Right.
no, I mean, what you're gonna be, what you can and cannot use it for. The last thing we wanna see is somebody, you flying by somebody's window with it.
Absolutely. I agree.
So basically, it looks like it's a head nod.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would
Yes.
vote on it.
I was just gonna say, I'd do a point of order there, that if the desire is to have the chief go forth with the purchase of that amount, we should have a vote if it's a head nod about looking at, because we've had two options presented, if it's a head nod to keep pursuing options about what's out there, but if it's saying go ahead and purchase, it should be a vote and a motion.
Then I would need a motion.
I'll make the motion for the chief to purchase the drone for, in the amount of,
The total amount is $7,149, but $246.85 on.
yeah, but I want the total, 7,429,
$7,149.
149.
I'll second that.
Roll call, Peter?
Aye.
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 Motion carried.
Thank you, Joe.
I would very much like, before it ever gets used, for there to be something presented, policies and procedures presented, to, you know, for us to go through. If not the whole board, at least public safety.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move to E, any other miscellaneous topics for future discussion? There are none, we'll move to 10, report of village officials, A, clerk treasurer.
We are, excuse me, we're just busy taking in taxes.
Any questions for Jane? Okay, we'll move to B, director of public works.
Couple things here, for you. I guess I didn't. The auto miller, lighting, still continue on working with lights, lighting vendors and things like that, so I'm gathering quotes, for you. Looked at the lights a little bit closer, specifying a certain light, and then having the electrical contractor install. So hopefully in January here, I'll get more information to you guys for approval for the lighting for auto miller. So just to let you know, I'm working on it.
So Craig, we're talking about the village purchasing the actual lighting
Yes,
and then having a contractor install it.
correct.
Okay, good.
Yep. I did give the contractors, just FYI, the contractors, I don't know how you want to see it. I did give them some leeway if they would come up with something better, or if they felt that their light was, more efficient, things like that, that we would consider that. So, but they would have to show what it is and show all the information specs and wherever they would have, these placed, all that information, and then we can sit down and figure out what is gonna be best for auto miller. So, if there's anything different than what we had originally discussed. Miller Park, today, couple things here today. MCC has completed the gravel portion of it. It's gonna sit like it is now for a while until they can get back in and start doing concrete work and blacktop and that, so that's probably not gonna happen until the end of April. Water and sewer is installed per contract, per spec. One of the biggest things here is that we're looking at potentially changing I have not received a change order or a cost difference of the park. What we're looking at is still a tennis court, but instead of a full basketball court, actually having 2 pickleball courts. I had a gentleman stop into my office, really telling us that, hey, you know, in about 4 years and whatever, you know, you guys are gonna take the tennis court and turn them into pickleball courts. Like, don't really wanna do that. This is the only tennis court here in town, realistically, and there's a lot of people that play tennis. So in looking at this project, Nathan and I, talking back and forth and that, it's like, why not have a half-court basketball court and then having 2 pickleball courts? So it will work within and not changing the footprint of what we originally had. So we're able to actually put 2 pickleball courts in a half-court within what we originally designed for. Cost difference, potentially nets. We would have had 2 basketball hoops, so we would deduct that. Fencing, we'll see what the difference would be in the fencing portion of it. That's pretty much it.
So we would end up with a full tennis court,
Yep,
Which one's
Correct.
the court?
the one on the left,
Okay.
2 pickleball courts,
yes,
In the back.
and a half basketball.
a large half.
Where's
Basketball.
where's the play area, the play center area?
On that one, I don't know, can you?
It's north more.
I don't know if it's on
An
there.
edge of it is up there.
Oh, okay, so,
You can
okay.
kinda
so-
On the
all right,
left
so
there?
we're back
On the
to
left.
street, Okay.
On the left, that's where that is.
That's where the play area is?
That's where the play area is. So I spoke with,
It's almost in the exact same spot as where this tennis court was. It's the same area.
Are we moving the play area?
No.
not yet.
Okay, I'm confused.
I spoke with We Energies, AT&T and also Spectrum. They have the line coming right through the back, right across and through the plate area. In discussion with them of potentially either raising that line or what we would ultimately like to see is that buried. So there would be no lines through that plate area, all the way from, I guess you can say the creek side, all the way to that corner. So that would be all underground. So we would have nothing overhead. We'll see. I haven't heard anything. I may not hear anything for a couple weeks in regards to that, and potentially lowering that utility.
Well, the existing play area is gonna stay where it is, or it's gonna get moved? I'm
Stay
confused.
We are probably gonna leave it right where it's at. However, if the utilities come in and lower it underground, then we may have to change it up a little bit.
Okay,
But I'd
so-
like to keep it in that same corner.
Okay, so where the tennis courts were is where you wanna put the pickleball and the basketball.
To the right.
Tennis,
Yep.
And then the tennis courts will go to the side of that.
So
tennis
this
courts
here,
are-
We've
It's a
exist
tennis
now.
court.
this was a tennis court, this was a tennis court. Play
No.
area here.
Currently.
Currently,
We have
Okay.
2 tennis courts.
Okay,
We got rid of one
we got rid of one.
completely,
yeah,
Gone.
and then put in a full basketball court before,
okay.
and then had 1 pickleball court. But instead, we decided that it's a better idea to do a half basketball, a little more than a half basketball court, and then 2 pickleball courts. So that way you can do tournaments, and other events there.
Yeah, they're talking events coming
It's,
for the pickleball. So
I,
they,
grand shoots
Yeah.
are filled constantly in the summer. The 4 they put in, and they're looking at doing more in the next few years as well. It's,
Crazy.
if you could travel anywhere in the south, that's all you hear.
Yep.
Is the pickleball noise constantly.
North too.
Yep.
Okay.
Lakewood's got
Yeah.
all the time up there.
it appears,
Where?
it appears to be coming another,
so has any consideration been given to a location for what we had intended at one time as a splash pad?
No.
No. So,
Everything's open. That's I mean, everything else is open for what you wanna do.
okay, with the exception of the infrastructure for the water and the drainage?
The drainage and stuff's all set in the corner, right up here almost. It's outside, so we won't have to ever go back under the cement.
Okay.
It's tied out in the corner. You
Okay.
can't see it, it's not on this photo, but
That's, yeah, it's kinda
It's-
hard to see. Anyway, your drainage up there, this line, we have out into approximately this area here, a water line. That was part of the engineering portion of it, getting that water line out to there. Storm sewer, we have in the parking lot, in the sidewalk, and then again over to the left there. And then it,
we have it stubs for future if we wanna do
For
a
future,
pavilion,
whatever.
Yeah,
splash
but-
pad, whatever the heck you wanna do.
I know we
So-
talked about a retention pond for the runoff at one time.
At one
Carl-
time, yeah, but instead, we decided to do a pipe to the stream.
Okay, so the runoff from any future splash pad would go underground through a pipe to the creek?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Any issues with the DNR on that?
No.
Okay.
McMahon would have gotten that information to us
Okay.
if there was. They.
So the potential is, at some point in time, just to the south of your future 30 by 50 pavilion, we could put a splash pad in there. Is that
Mhm.
correct?
I mean, anything, I mean, even that pavilion placement isn't necessarily where we're gonna
Okay,
put something.
alright.
In theory, you could put anything else in the park that you want.
you will have a blank piece of paper basically from where the courts are going
Right.
to the east. So that's kind of where we're sitting here right now.
So the net increase in cost or decrease in cost?
That we don't have any information on yet.
Right.
McMahon will be getting us the difference,
So you'll come
either up
back,
or down.
you'll come
It'll
back,
probably be a slight increase just for paint, but equipment wise, it's not much different.
Okay, so then we have the baseball diamond there as well, that's staying, right?
For
Yes,
now.
For now.
For now, okay.
I mean, there's no need to move it, but
And that's-
if we needed to in the future,
So
we
that's
could
it.
always move it.
It's this way,
It's
on here?
over there, yeah.
Yeah.
It's this way?
Right where the writing is, almost on the right-hand side.
Okay, that's where the baseball, and then, the
Then there's
layout,
nothing.
the layout there is really bad, because you got a whole bunch of empty space after
Yeah,
the
Right.
net.
you're correct.
you know, if we had a drone picture of this, Jim, we'd really be in good shape,
Don't
wouldn't we?
even, yeah,
We do.
We do.
It's called GIS.
Okay,
Google Earth.
yeah. Actually, the government side.
Do you have anything else for us, Craig?
And I did run off what my other thing was here while he's doing it. I just made mention on the bottom.
There you go.
Look at that.
See the courts?
Yeah, so that's,
Yep,
So we're extending the parking lot to the courts, basically.
but our property, the property extends all the way to this
Oh,
line here, right?
correct.
It,
Yes.
it goes out to here, yeah.
Such a bad
And then we have that, there's that parking lot, and then Opera House is right there too.
so we're gonna be right about here with the new courts.
Okay.
Okay, right about here. All right,
In the creek.
no, we're
What are you
gonna
doing
be
in the
here
woods,
and
Craig?
down into here just a little
Okay.
bit. So we're gonna have a little bit more than what was existing. So, and then, of course, the parking lot's gonna come down to here, match into this, sidewalk down to here, sidewalk all the way up here, curb and gutter. This is your parking lot, right? So we have water stub into approximately this area here.
Further back, but yeah. It's right at the corner by, a little behind the
And
house.
it's
Yeah.
kind of, I don't know, somewhere in here.
Water and sewer? Okay. So the play area stays where it is?
Stay with where it is. You see where the high lines are here? This is what I'm talking about. Right
Oh,
now, we
yeah.
have a power pole
Yep.
right here. So if they decide to do something with that line there, we may have to tweak this a little bit on that end. No big deal. So, but for the most part, that playground's gonna stay.
The horseshoe pits stay?
Horseshoe pit stay.
Because I know we talked at one time of moving them down to Autumn, or to Alonso, but that's not gonna happen.
Why?
I don't know, that was
Uh,
Carl's.
They're good there for now, unless we decide to do something different in that area. They're movable.
Okay.
You got a blank piece of paper here, for the most part.
It's a 4x4 square of sod
Yeah.
and 16 bags of sand.
They used to be there. They used to be at Alonso.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, were they?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Carl talked about moving them
They
back.
got moved.
But
That'll be all in the future. We'll decide what we're gonna do with Alonzo.
Mhm.
so you
Pretty much it for that. So I'll
Okay.
keep you posted on things reoccurring here next month. Whenever I hear from McMahon, cost changes. There shouldn't be any other changes to the project, so. The only other thing that I had, I'm not gonna talk too much on that. I did give you a little information about Saturday's event, our snow. What I want to try to do here this winter, I'll get you either a monthly report. I'll get you a monthly report, and then I'll have a summation of our winter maintenance, how much money we spent, what the storms were, things like that. So
Okay.
that's it.
Any other questions?
Tony fixing their stuff so they can plow a little quicker next time.
I will make a comment that apologize that there was a delay. There was a 3-hour delay. So, and it's unfortunate. We're gonna work on that, we'll work on that on our end here, future talks, things like that, and then, just keep on,
Did they do my neighborhood, or was that Hortonville that did that?
nope, they did it.
Okay. Yeah. They came through, left the roundabouts. They left all the cul-de-sac, not roundabouts. They left all the cul-de-sacs unplowed when they came through for a day and left all the people that were in the cul-de-sacs. Frickin' snowed that deep and everywhere. They came up and made the turn and didn't bother to go in. I mean, it's, you know, I had trouble with my truck, so I had borrowed somebody's car. I couldn't even get out of the driveway. I couldn't drive down the road.
With your truck?
Yeah, blew a spark plug. So I got out of the car, I couldn't get out of our driveway with it. So I'm fine. I was just thinking, you know, the people who lived on those cul-de-sacs, if they don't have an SUV, they were stuck. They weren't getting their vehicles out.
I will make the comment, the reason we put, both myself and also Chris, we put pickup trucks on because of the delay. We wanted to ensure that we had some of the streets opened up for emergency personnel.
Yeah.
Right, so we threw our pickup trucks on and opened them up a little bit. There was one comment that I heard in regards to that. Well, we're gonna make every means possible to keep our roads open for emergency.
Oh, no, I'm not blaming you. I'm just saying, light a fire on
Yeah.
somebody, because
Yeah, I
they
know.
went through, you know where the neighborhood is. I mean, they went through the street that I'm on, as you go over to Spruce. They went to Spruce and the stop sign and just turned, and everybody that goes to the left, and then the entire cul-de-sac there, they just left them. Like, well, if you don't have a 4-wheel drive or an all-wheel drive, you're not getting out of your house. And they did that, they sat that way for a day.
Wow. Okay.
And it was worse because they piled it when they made the turn. You know, it's
They
just
got
like somebody's
cold.
driveway. What's that?
Then it got cold and froze.
Yeah, then they got cold and froze, yeah. And then everybody, you know, my niece lives right on the edge. She lives right there. They came in and went like this, and they never even, you know, got over there.
For future
So light a
reference.
fire on somebody every once in a while.
Yep.
Let us know if there's a problem. If there's anything that we can do. I know, but
Ongoing talks.
Any other questions for Craig? If not, we'll move to C, Police Chief.
My report is in the packet.
Does anyone have any questions for Chris?
I just wanna add that, I mean, we're still working on interviewing part-timers. We've interviewed 3 in the last 2 weeks. Not good. So, we're not finding any quality candidates. Matt Needham had informed me that there was 20 in the last class. 19 of the 20 were taken by bigger agencies, Appleton, Brown County, because everybody's short. So we interviewed the last one, the sole one that didn't get snatched up. So, we keep plugging away. We got a meeting in January, so public safety meeting.
Any questions for Chris? Okay, we'll move to D, library director, and Ally is out. E, attorney,
Nothing here.
okay. F, administrator,
I have a report in the packet, just kind of doing end of year stuff. Worked a little bit on the grant stuff that we were looking at with the fire department, and then some of the other grant stuff we were looking into with respects to the downtown in Miller Park. And basically, it's not going to work for those ones. I guess when we met with the leader or the guy who's in charge of doing the grants for the federal government, basically they talked about the outline and what constitutes what they're looking for in their grants. And you know, it's one of those things where, yeah, you could try to force a narrative into making a case for us, but it's not really what they're looking for. So I don't really feel comfortable putting, you know, the amount of money we'd have to pay MSA to do it, or the park amounts that we're looking at. Basically, Miller Park wouldn't even have accounted for it because we're already starting it. It needs to not be started. So there's some criteria on that. And basically with the timeline and everything, it just doesn't work out. So they're looking at more LMI, smaller municipalities with a lower medium household income, basically. We just don't fit that category.
So our medium is too high,
Yes.
is that what you're saying?
What? Yeah. Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
So even if we move forward with the new pavilion,
That's
still
different.
would. Go ahead.
That's different.
Okay.
Because we can still do the storm shelter grant, which the feds do like 10% of the total cost of the shelter. So if we build like a large pavilion with a storm shelter in it, they pay for 10% of the total project. So I think it's 10, it might be 8, but they pay for a percentage of the total project. So
That's feds, what about state?
you can only use one or the other.
Oh, you can, okay, can't use both?
No.
Okay.
So, otherwise, there's still grants available that we can still do for the multimodal trail. There's a lot of grants for parks that we can look at outside of this ARPA funding that's going through right now. Also, there's more state or federal funding outside of ARPA because of the infrastructure bill that was passed. We started getting information on that, so there might be more opportunities that way. I know there's some solar grants for that that we're looking at potentially. Other than that, cost savings estimated for our copier this year that we changed, because we changed vendors, we saved about $1,100 or so. And that's with 2 months of it being at with the old person who was in charge of the old company. So we'll save about $1,200 a year or so.
any questions for Nathan? Okay, we will go to G, building permit report. The November report is in the packet. 11, communication and miscellaneous business. A, Black Otter Lake District News.
We had a meeting last Wednesday, and, or Thursday, I'm sorry, you were there, was it Thursday? A week ago tonight. And we decided that a letter would be sent, certified letter, to Evergreen Equipment, asking him to reimburse the amount of $15,750 by December 31st, or we would be referring it to the Sawyer County Sheriff's Department for processing under fraud. So that's where we're at. And we are working with Bob Sorensen, who's representing the Lake District, and seeing this through. So hopefully we'll get some results. And we just said, we also gave permission that if we do not have the money by December 31st, he would contact the Sheriff's Department. We're not gonna have to wait for another meeting to make that decision.
Any questions for Pat? Okay, we go to B, Hortonville, Hortonia Fire District News. Jim? Nothing? C, Gold Cross Ambulance Run Report News. It is in the packet. D, Hortonville Civic Association.
No,
Peter?
none at this time.
E, Senior Activities Committee. Pat?
Tuesday night, we had about, I think there were 18 people that were here. We had a meal at 4 o'clock, 4 to 5, and then we had a 4-car caravan, 2 vans and 2 cars that toured around town. The lights, people seemed very happy with that. We were happy with the turnout. It isn't a big number, but that's okay. So people that were there enjoyed it, and we'll probably do it again next year.
Good. Okay, we'll move to 12, comments and suggestions from citizens present. Welcome again. Yes?
I guess a question regarding it was mentioned about a possible future splash pad. I was wondering if, when you're considering it, just a thought, as far as the impact on the water usage of the village, how many gallons per hour would the splash pad require? Is there any kind of recirculation that's going to be considered, or just a straight one-time shot and through for supplying water? Are there any chemicals that are required, and if so, what would be the impact on the stream from the drainage from that? Just things that I would humbly mention that the board might want to consider.
We definitely will. Thank you. Okay, we'll go to 13, motion to go into closed session.
I don't have it.
I just closed mine. Okay, I make a motion to go into closed session under state statute 19.85, parent 1, parent E, deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require closed session.
I'll second that.
Roll call.
Aye.
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 Okay, we will need 5 minutes to clear the meeting room. 17, any action on matters discussed in closed session? There's none. 18, I would like a motion to adjourn, please.
I'll move to adjourn the meeting.
And I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are now adjourned.